So now we're excited to have with us Pierre Rochard. Pierre, are you with us?
Yes, I am. How are you?
Fantastic.
Hey,
Great.
Pierre, how are you?
Great.
Hey, thanks for joining us, Tony. Now, Pierre is like one of our main speakers at BitBlock Boom.
Yes.
So we're excited about that. For those who aren't familiar with it, check it out, bitblockboom.com. But you've got a whole bunch of stuff going on. We're just milking off of you right now, trying to talk about BitBlock Boom. Tell them a little bit about Pierre here.
Yeah. So Pierre, you've been involved in Bitcoin for a long time, and you with your colleague Michael Goldstein are co-founders of the Satoshi Nakamoto Institute. And so we're really excited to talk about Bitcoin maximalism today.
Yeah, so Michael and I and another friend of ours from college, we founded the Satoshi Nakamoto Institute back in 2013 when we were first learning about Bitcoin, and we're trying to gather everything that Satoshi has written about the system he built, and also gathering literature that preceded when Satoshi got released Bitcoin, because there have been previous attempts at creating crypto monies before 2008.
Yes, and the what people have been finding is that there's been a lot of other influences that have come in to the field, and so trying to understand Bitcoin, you have to understand psychology, you have to understand economics, you have to understand cryptography, and so it's taking people a lot of brain power to kind of understand this. And I would guess most of us still say we're still learning. We don't really understand the implications of the system, and that's why these writings are so important. And continued writings, as you guys have a blog. Tell us a little about the mempool.
Yeah, so the mempool is where we've been putting our blog posts about things. We try to keep it timeless. We're not trying to keep up with current events, but writing down our own analysis of the economics of Bitcoin. We mostly focus on economics because that's our background. We all met in an economics reading group. We're very much of the free market bent, and that's what we bonded over. And we really do see Bitcoin as being a new digital gold that is more adapted to today's internet age than physical gold was.
So most people, when they go to college, they take a few economics courses. They understand the Keynesian outlook, but very few have been introduced to Ludwig von Mises. So it seems like your group really grew out of your study of Mises. Is that the case?
Yes, that's correct. And we had a group called the Mesa Circle where we were reading passages from him and other authors from what's called the Austrian School of Economics, which really, it emphasizes kind of a logical approach to economics rather than a mathematical approach, which is more common in university courses. And this logical approach just leads us to having, if the goal is to have a thriving society, is to have free markets.
So really, the basis of it is the free market approach, isn't it?
Right, and part of that, a key part of that, is currency competition. So far, the government has had a monopoly on currency, on money, and that's why the U.S. dollar has dominated here in the U.S. And then because the U.S. economy is the largest, it's also the case that the U.S. dollar has dominated international trade, and it really has become a world reserve currency at this point. And Bitcoin comes in and competes with that on a free market basis.
I think that's one thing that most people don't really think about, is that currencies themselves compete, that around the world, these currencies have different powers and different outcomes based on their features. You want to talk a little about what happened, because we have 2 minutes now, just so briefly before we go to break, and we'll have you back after the break. Just briefly, what is the difference between when money was held backed by gold and money now that's just can be printed at free will?
Yeah, so the consequences of inflation are large and varied, but basically it is a reallocation of resources, and it does increase economic inequality, where the people who receive the new money first benefit the most. And in our current system, that is fractional reserve banks that create new money.
So they get it first, then they lend it out at what, $9 or $10 to every $1 they have.
That's right, and then they charge an interest spread between how they're financing themselves and how much they're charging their customers and their borrowers. Whereas with Bitcoin, you have a completely different system where the new Bitcoins are actually issued by what's called miners, and the miners have to burn electricity as part of this process. So it's not that they don't actually benefit nearly as much from the creation of new Bitcoins.
Fantastic.
They are rewarded.
They're rewarded.
Yeah.
Well, fantastic. Pierre, we'll pick up with you right after this break to discuss mining and the process.
You've been listening to CEO Money with the guest hosts, Gary Leland and Tony Sakala, the Crypto Cousins. This segment was brought to you by Blue Moon Advisors. The Capital Readiness Report will let you know if your business is fund ready. Online at bluemoonadvisors.com.
Welcome back, Pierre.
Hey, guys.
So we left the cliffhanger of we've got miners mining. So instead of issuing money, just printing money, this sounds like cryptocurrencies back like gold. There's a system of mining, and tell us about how that works, the process, and what's going to happen from now till the year 2140.
All right, so the miners allow what's called time stamping, and it's a secure form of time stamping, so it provides us some level of guarantees about the order in which transactions happen on the Bitcoin network. And Bitcoin simply would not work without this mining. It's called proof of work, and basically it's computers that are solving an increasingly difficult algorithm, and it consumes a tremendous amount of electricity, and that's by design because basically we're trying to prove that X amount of resources went into mining these Bitcoins so that we know that they weren't just created out of thin air.
And that makes a big difference because the fiat money is created out of thin air every day, and that's really where we're into all the troubles that we have. So tell us, Pierre, what are the most important issues of the day, especially for someone maybe listening now who is kind of brand new to Bitcoin? What are the things you think that they should know?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of attention that's paid to the price, and I think the price is important, but only up to a point. And right now we're on the back end of a massive run-up in the price where it went up to north of $19,000. And now at this point it's a third of that. It's crashed down to, I haven't checked today, but I think it's like $7,000 around. And so for people who are interested in actually investing in Bitcoin, they got to approach it in a very conservative manner, which is that don't invest more than you can afford to lose. It's still a very experimental system in its early infancy. And so have kind of a portfolio approach where you think about, okay, I'm interested in investing in a very high-risk investment. What percentage can I allocate to that? And generally, that wouldn't be any more than like 1 to 5%. So be very conservative about how much you invest. It's a very volatile investment, and it plays with your psychology in the sense that when the price is going down, you feel an impulse to sell because you don't want it to go down even more. So having a small allocation helps you get through these volatile periods, and it also allows you to focus on what I think is probably more important, which is the technological innovation happening on top of Bitcoin. One buzzword that people may be hearing a lot is the Lightning Network, which is a layer 2 payment system built on top of Bitcoin, which enables instant and very cheap transactions between people. The Bitcoin blockchain is very slow and can sometimes be expensive to transact on. So people are very excited about the Lightning Network.
You know, one of the things, getting back to mining, if I can jump back to that, Tom Lee with Fundstrat compares the price of Bitcoin to what it costs to mine Bitcoin. Right now, that cost is in the area of $6,000. But next year, that's going to go up to $14,000. So he's comparing the price of Bitcoin as to what it costs to make a Bitcoin. But Pierre, how much will that last Bitcoin cost to mine, do you think, in the year 2140 when the last one is done?
So I think that it's when we're analyzing the relationship between the price of Bitcoin and the cost of mining, what ends up happening is that whatever Bitcoin's price is, the cost of mining will increase or decrease to match that. So it's a little misleading to try to extrapolate from the cost to the price. The relationship is in the reverse. So the cost of mining that last Bitcoin will depend entirely on what the price of that last Bitcoin is. And I'm very bullish, and I think that it'll be much higher than the current price of Bitcoin. That's in a very long time. I think that's in the year 2140.
Right.
So I don't know that I'll be around to see that happen.
Well, you can make any claim you want, and no one can prove you wrong. Now, we only have a minute left, exactly. Pierre. I want to make sure you get in before we go. Bitcoin Advisory, give us the link for that, all the content information. You've got a lot of great information and places for people to find you. Could you go over that now, Pierre?
Yeah, the best place to find me is on Twitter. So if you don't have a Twitter account, you can just create a fake one if you want, and follow me at Pierre, Pierre, _ Rochard, Rochard. My day job is helping institutional investors understand the investment case for and against Bitcoin. And I also co-host the Noted podcast. That's NODED.org. And on that podcast with my friend Michael Goldstein, we interview some of the sharpest minds in Bitcoin.
Well, fantastic, Pierre. It's as usual. It's been a great to reconnect, and we look forward to seeing you next month at BitBlock Boom.
Great. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, thanks for coming on the show. We really do appreciate it. And you are one of the top people that I know in the crypto world. So to have you on the show, we're real excited. Thanks.
This was a pleasure. Bye, guys.
Bye.